Exactly. I mean, I think we should fight for an exciting, bright future where people can be optimistic about what's going to happen, where you wake up and you look forward to the future. And the best way to ensure the future is good, you have to fight for a good future every day, and it will be great, and we'll have a very exciting, wonderful future. So, so I think this election coming up in Germany is incredibly important. I think it could decide the entire fate of Europe, maybe the fate of the world.
This is my video update on this Saturday late afternoon, January the 25th, coming to you from Limassol, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the Putin giving an interview yesterday and saying that the 2020 elections were stolen, man. Trump should have won the 2020 elections according to the Russian President Vladimir Putin, but they were given to Biden, according to the Putin. Why is the Putin spreading such misinformation? Everyone knows that Biden was the most popular president ever. Everyone knows that Bidenopoulos, Greece's favorite son, got the most votes of any president ever in all of history. Why is Russia spreading disinformation? Well, according to Politico, Putin is trying to sweet talk Trump. That's right. He is trying to sweet talk Trump. Oh man, what is Putin saying? 2020 election victory was stolen from Trump, according to Putin. The Russian leader believes the Ukraine conflict might have been avoided if Trump had become US president in 2020. Here is what Putin said to his favorite journalist Pavel Zarubin. I cannot disagree with him that if he had been president, if his victory hadn't been stolen in 2020, perhaps the crisis in Ukraine that arose in 2022 wouldn't have happened. Trump says the same thing, that if he was president in 2020, then the war would have never happened. But Trump positions it as if Putin would have been afraid of Trump, and Trump would have issued some warnings, and that's why Putin would have never gone in Ukraine. He would have never gone in there, says Trump. Putin, when he says that if Trump was president in 2020, then the conflict in 2022 would have never happened, he means it in a way that implies that Putin and Trump would have been able to speak to each other. They would have been able to talk. They would have been able to discuss what's going on. Trump would have understood Russia's concerns, and the conflict would have been avoided. But either way, what Putin is saying in this statement about the 2020 elections is just flat out wrong. It's wrong. Everyone knows that Bidenopoulos was the man. He is the man. He's actually a Freemason now. He's a Freemason, that's right. Bidenopoulos doesn't disappoint. Politico says Putin says he's ready to meet Trump to talk calmly. Russian president flatters U.S. leader by referring to the 2020 election, American election, as stolen. Putin is trying, this is from Yermak, Putin is trying to promote the idea of negotiations with the U.S., but he wants to agree on the fate of Europe. Without Europe, he wants to talk about Ukraine without Ukraine. That is what Yermak said in a statement. Putin wants to speak with Trump and only Trump. He doesn't want Europe there. He doesn't want Zelensky there. No Green Goblin, no Stammer, no Macron, no Pirate Schultz, no Ursula. He just wants to speak with Trump. So that is what Politico is reporting. Putin is trying to flatter the U.S. leader, and the U.S. leader and Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, they have put a pause on foreign aid. State Department issues immediate, widespread pause on foreign aid. The stop work orders appear to apply to U.S. aid for all countries except Israel and Egypt. Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Friday issued new guidance halting spending on most existing foreign aid grants for 90 days. The order, which shocked State Department officials, appears to apply to funding for military assistance to Ukraine. So it also covers military assistance to the Zelensky regime. Now, the Pentagon, just yesterday, they issued a statement when Trump signed the executive order putting a pause on foreign aid. There was a lot of speculation that this pause did include Ukraine, but the Pentagon came out with a statement yesterday and said, no, this executive order does not include Ukraine, so weapons and money, it's a go. We can still send all of that stuff to Ukraine. And then yesterday afternoon, we got the statement that, nope, we are going to include Ukraine in the pause of foreign aid. So Zelensky must be pretty upset about this news. Keep in mind that this also includes all of the NGO, the U.S. NGO type of organizations, the government organizations like USAID. USAID. You know who was in charge of USAID under Bidenopolis? Samantha Power. Samantha Power. That's right. Good move by Trump. Very good move by Trump. He is putting a pause in the regime change industrial complex. The regime change industrial complex must be very upset right now. But Samantha Power, USAID, she's no longer, I don't think she's the head of USAID anymore. I'm imagining that Trump is going to appoint a new person in charge of USAID. But yeah, that was Samantha Power's agency. Let's see here. The United States Agency for International Development, USAID, which has been the main source of American funding in Ukraine, including military aid, has been ordered to halt work on all its projects, according to Reuters. As reported on the agency's website, since February 24, 2022, USAID has provided Ukraine with $2.6 billion in humanitarian aid, $5 billion in development assistance, and more than $30 billion in direct budget support. Direct budget support. What could that mean, direct budget support? Oh boy. And then we got the word that the Trump administration is not interested in funding Ukraine reconstruction if there happens to be some sort of a peace deal or a ceasefire. If Trump manages to work out a peace in Ukraine, then according to various Trump White House officials, the Trump administration is not going to take part in any of Ukraine reconstruction. Trump not willing to take part in Ukraine's reconstruction. According to Bloomberg, the private sector should take over responsibility. The outlet has cited a senior official as saying, Trump's team has signaled that it doesn't intend to engage directly in rebuilding the country, suggesting that this responsibility would be handled by the private sector, the outlet said, citing a senior diplomat. Monsanto, BlackRock, Vanguard, I don't know, all of the private sector is lining up for reconstruction. But the U.S. government, according to this statement, is not going to take part in the reconstruction, at least not directly. Indirectly, yes, but directly, no. Either way, all of this news must be really, really unnerving. Zelensky, the Green Goblin, he must be very, very concerned about both of the announcements. Podolyak is probably knocked on his office yesterday, knocked on his office door, and Zelensky said, come on in. Podolyak, how are you doing today? Podolyak tells Zelensky, Mr. President, I've got some bad news. What is it, Podolyak? Okay, Mr. President, let me break it to you one at a time. Mr. President, you know that foreign aid pause for 90 days? Yes, but we are exempt. No, Mr. President, we just got the word that we're going to be included in this pause of foreign aid. That also includes U.S. aid. The $30 billion? Yes, Mr. President. Oh my God, Podolyak. This Trump, I don't like him. I don't like this Trump guy. It's okay, Podolyak. Do not panic. Do not panic. We still have all the money that will come from reconstruction. Yeah, Mr. President, you may want to have a drink for this one. What is it, Podolyak? Yeah, we're getting reports that the Trump White House, they're not going to participate in reconstruction. Podolyak, what do you mean, Podolyak? What is going on? What is this Trump man doing to me? This orange man, very bad, this orange man. So, let's continue. And we will stay with Zelensky because we'll get serious now. The reports are that Zelensky has worked out the details for the mobilization of 18-year-olds into the military, 18 to 25-year-olds. It looks like that has been worked out. And the reports are that once this is announced and once this gets going, then Zelensky will approach the Trump administration for more weapons. That was the deal that allegedly was made with the Biden White House. Lower the mobilization age, and we'll get you more weapons. And the reports are that he will now approach the Trump administration and tell the Trump administration we're ready to send more people to the front line, to hold the front line and hold back the Russian advance, but we want more weapons and more money. So that news should be announced, officially announced any day now. But remember Putin, I always say this when I talk about the mobilization. Remember what Putin said in June. He said that once the United States, once the powers that be that control and operate Zelensky, once they get him to sign off on lowering the mobilization age, that's when they will be done with him. So we'll see if Putin's prediction holds true. Putin did predict that the mobilization age will be lowered. He did predict this. We will now see if this will indeed mean the end of Zelensky. So Kellogg, the envoy for Ukraine, he was on, I believe, Fox News, yeah. And if you're wondering where Trump is getting all of these talking points, these ideas about crashing the oil price to crush the Russian economy so he can get some leverage over Putin during negotiations, where the idea from this comes from, it looks like it is Kellogg. That's how it looks, because on Fox News, Kellogg talked about the idea of crashing the oil price, bringing the oil price down to, I believe he said, $43 or $45. And if you bring it down to that level, then according to Kellogg, you put immense pressure on Putin and the Russian economy, and that will bring Putin to the negotiating table, and that will lead to a settlement. And Kellogg said that by bringing the oil price down, he said, that way you can stop Putin from funding his war machine. So it does look like a lot of these crazy talking points that we've heard from Trump over the past couple of days, if I had to take a guess, and it's just a guess, I would say a lot of them appear to be coming from Kellogg. Kellogg also said that he's talking to, I believe he said, the Europeans. He's talking to the Europeans about seizing the Russian assets, the $300 billion in Russian assets, and using that money to purchase U.S. weapons. He said that is being discussed. Kellogg. Kellogg does not seem like he was the right choice for an envoy when it comes to Ukraine. Hey, buddy. So let's, Kellogg, let's talk about Trump's call with Denmark, with the Prime Minister of Denmark concerning Greenland. This call, according to the Financial Times, took place last week, a couple of days before the inauguration. But now we are getting information from Financial Times sources that Trump had a call with the Prime Minister of Denmark, Mette Frederiksen, and this call did not go well for Denmark. This call did not go well for Denmark. Financial Times has an article with the title, Donald Trump in fiery call with Denmark's Prime Minister over Greenland. And according to the Financial Times, the Danish PM and her staff described the call as horrendous. Horrendous is how they describe it. And they also came away from the call with Trump, which was about a 45-minute call. They came away realizing Trump is serious about purchasing Greenland or taking Greenland. And they also came away from the call realizing that they're in big trouble when it comes to their relations with Trump and the United States. Yeah, they said the call was horrendous. US President Trump is serious about taking over Greenland and aggressively pushed the idea in a tense phone call with Danish Prime Minister Frederiksen. Financial Times reported on Friday, citing sources. Yeah, not good news if you are Denmark. Not good news if you're the European Union. You're 100% reliant on the United States. And you were having a good time when Biden was the president, right? You were talking a lot of smack as the EU, talking a lot of smack. You got Biden behind you, living it up. And now you got Trump. And things are not looking so peachy with Trump as president of the United States. Trump just does not like the Europeans. He just does not like the Europeans, with the exception of Orban. Trump is not so hot on the EU leadership. We will see how this story unfolds. If I had to take a guess, I would say that sooner or later, Trump is going to work something out with Greenland. Greenland will have some sort of connection to the United States. I don't know what that's going to be, but my guess is that Denmark is going to absolutely fold on this one. That's just my guess. Now, Trump was in North Carolina, and he was visiting he was on the ground, getting a firsthand look as president of what's going on since the hurricanes in North Carolina. And he gave a press conference, spoke to the media, and he was asked about Canada. And once again, he said that Canada should absolutely become the 51st state of the United States. And then he gave a list of benefits for Canadian citizens. The Canadian citizens, if that happened, would get a very big tax cut, a tremendous tax cut, because they are currently very highly taxed. He said, Trump went on to claim that the Canadians wouldn't have to worry about their military or many other issues. They'd also have better health coverage, much better health coverage. In fact, he asserted, adding, I think the people of Canada would like it if it's explained to them. So I think, while I think Denmark, he's going to get his way, I think with Canada, obviously, that's not going to happen. Canada is not going to become the 51st state of the United States. I don't even believe that, even though Trump continues to say he's serious about it, I'm still not buying it. If I had to take a guess as to what's going on, I would guess that Trump is looking forward to seeing Justin gone, and he's looking forward to working with a new government, a government that's more aligned with, say, the America First MAGA type of movement. So we would be talking about a conservative type of government. That would just be my guess. He's trying to signal, look, let's get a new government in place, and then we can talk. But until that happens, the Liberals and Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, they're going to continue to get this pressure from Trump. Anyway, Pete Hegseth was confirmed as the defense secretary. Now, Lloyd Austin, when he was confirmed under the Biden administration, I believe the votes were 90 for Lloyd Austin and 2 against Lloyd Austin. And for Hegseth, the vote, even though he made it, he got confirmed, the vote was 50-50, and then it needed J.D. Vance to break the tie. So 51-50 was the vote, but Hegseth is the new Secretary of Defense for the United States. And McConnell actually voted against Hegseth. He voted against his own party. And there is a video of McConnell on the floor of the Senate after the vote, shaking hands with Democrats. He voted against his own party. That's how much McConnell despises Trump. Republican in name only, Mitch McConnell. So let's get to some clown worlds before we get to the clown world segment, which I think today my clown world is pretty serious, I think, today. But protests in Romania. I was looking at some videos before I recorded this video, and it looks like people are out in Romania once again protesting the theft of their election, the theft of their democracy. Romania is not having any of this election cancellation nonsense. They want a fair election. They want Georgescu. That's the way it looks. And they continue to protest. Meanwhile, in Slovakia, as I was saying in my video update yesterday, the globalist EU regime change keeps moving forward. And there were big protests in Slovakia. And the people were protesting against Fico because they're upset that Fico is apparently moving Slovakia away from the EU. And so they're protesting this. There are actually people, a lot of people, in Slovakia who enjoy having Slovakia be part of Ursula's subjects. They like Slovakia being controlled by the kleptocrats in Brussels. A large part of the population likes Slovakia being controlled by the kleptocrats in Brussels. Not that Fico has said he wants to take Slovakia out of the EU. What Fico wants is for Slovakia to be, well, first he wants energy and oil. He wants energy and oil, and then he wants Slovakia to have some sovereignty, to be part of the EU, but also enjoy sovereignty, very much like Orban. But when it comes to the European Union, there is no sovereignty. You're either controlled by Brussels or you will be punished. We've got tools. We've got tools, said Ursula. Remember when Ursula gave the speech about Russian frozen assets and she said, seize, not freeze. We must seize, not freeze, said Ursula. Yeah, well, Trump and Rubio are now saying freeze for 90 days, freeze. Freeze the money to Project Ukraine for 90 days. I bet you the EU is absolutely freaking out over these moves from Trump. Anyway, let's do some clown worlds, and we will wrap this video up. It's official. The Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America. Trump signed an executive order which for the United States officially makes the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America. This is just for the United States, the federal government. Every other country in the world, every other organization outside the United States, which is not part of the US federal government, can continue to call it the Gulf of Mexico. But for the federal government of the United States, it will be called the Gulf of America. This is stated on the website of the United States Department of the Interior. The message states that the Bay is a cornerstone of national growth and one of the most vital assets in U.S. history. Also, we had a name change. The highest mountain in North America, Denali, was given back the name McKinley in honor of the Republican and 25th President of the United States. Trump definitely is modeling his second term after some of what McKinley did, but I didn't even know that the name changed and it wasn't called McKinley. It looks like Obama changed the name, but Trump is changing it back. So Trump posted on Truth Social, "Wow, Rachel Maddow has horrible ratings. She'll be off the air very soon. MSNBC is close to death. CNN has reached the bottom. This is a good thing. They are the enemy of the people." MSNBC, CNN, not looking so good for these mainstream media outlets. Fox News, definitely benefiting from a Trump administration. MSNBC, they're really screwed. CNN, they're trying to play it down the middle, but we know that they're not in the middle. What else? Politico put up an article with the title, "Will Europe Send Troops to Post-War Ukraine?" Everyone agrees conversations need to move forward, but no one really knows how. So this article is about, and I'll wrap things up with this article from Politico. They're trying to push the narrative forward that there will be a ceasefire, and when there's a ceasefire, Europe will have to put 40 to 50,000 boots on the ground in Ukraine to police the border that will be created from the ceasefire and whatever the demilitarized zone is going to be, and it's going to need 40, 50,000 European troops. Zelensky wants American troops, but according to Politico, Macron and Stammer are already working on plans for UK and French troops in Ukraine, boots on the ground in Ukraine, to be stationed on this front line, whatever that's going to be if we do get a ceasefire. But much of Europe, much of the EU is not so hot on the idea of putting boots on the ground, of sending their soldiers to Ukraine. But it's under discussion. That's basically what Politico is saying. Macron and Stammer, they're trying to work things out. But the clown world in all of this, if this can even be considered a clown world, is the final freaking paragraph. The final paragraph of this article says, "But one thing is certain. At some point in the future, Trump will turn to Europeans and tell them Ukraine is their problem, if he hasn't already." That's how the article from Politico ends. A whole article, they're talking about boots on the ground in Ukraine, European boots on the ground in Ukraine. How are we going to do it? How is this going to work? Which countries can do this? And then the final paragraph says, yeah, one day Trump is going to call you guys up in Europe and say, this is your problem, if he hasn't already. Anyway, not much of a clown world. That's what I've got for this Saturday. The Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch, like what I am wearing in this video update. The link is in the description box down below. Take care.